Hello, everyone, and welcome to the pro wrestling mecca of the world in Cleveland, Ohio. I'm your dangerously, dashingly, strikingly, ever so smooth talking, handsome host, Nick. And with me, as always, is nobody, because this is PWP TV. This is uh, a little sub show, if you will, of the main show. The main show is the Pro Wrestling Podcast. You can find that on iTunes, Podcast Act, Spreaker, Amazon, Alexa, YouTube. Um, did I say Spotify? I don't know if I did, but I said Spotify now. And you can also now find it on iHeartRadio. Very first time I can say that one. So, yeah, definitely check us out on all major streaming platforms, and we're constantly adding more. And we're really looking forward to any kind of interaction, any kind of maybe even topic ideas, things of that nature. Forward to all of that stuff. But today, we are going to be wrapping up Why Companies Failed Month. For those of you who may or may not know what PWP TV is, it is just as the name sounds. It is the Pro Wrestling Podcast, but a TV edition, which is right here on YouTube. This is exclusive to YouTube. It's not on any other platform, just on YouTube, which really I love doing videos on YouTube. And again, for anyone who's new out there, sorry. I used to do this on my computer through my webcam, but for whatever reason, my computer doesn't like my microphone anymore. So because of that, I have decided just to do this straight from my cell phone. So if the quality's not the best, if the video's not the best, whatever the case may be, that's why. Maybe down the line I'll try to figure out what's going on with it, but for now you just kind of have to deal with what I have to work with. Anyway, like I said, this is Why Companies Failed Month, and our final promotion that we're looking at is the original ECW. And I want to preface something before I even get into this video, is there's a lot of people who hated the new ECW. And it always baffles my mind, because why? I did a video like a month or two ago about the recapping the new ECW and my thoughts on it. My thoughts were very simple: is that it was good for developing talent, because we got guys like Sheamus and Kofi Kingston, and at the same time, it really wasn't as bad as what a lot of people made it out to be. But you can also check out that video as well as any other video that we have. And for anyone who's new out there, we do we do some interviews, and those interviews will be posted up here. We've interviewed a lot of local Cleveland talent, as well as national talent like Cobra Moon, so from Lucha Underground. So, it's real cool to see how big we're growing, and we all have fun doing it. At the end of the day, we're all fans. Anyway, with all that stuff out the way, now let's look into why the original ECW failed. ECW started, depending on who you ask, around 1993. By then, it was essentially, I would say, Paul Heyman was fully in charge. Todd Gordon was there, but he was more or less, by all accounts, like a partner. He wasn't really involved creatively. It was more so Paul. Todd just kind of gave him the financial backing a little bit and kind of nudged him in the right direction, if you will. So from the start, Paul Heyman knew he had to do something different. And he changed the name from Eastern Championship Wrestling to Extreme Championship Wrestling. And he made Shane Douglas was the first Extreme champion. ECW would then go on almost a 10-year run, 8 years from that point on. They folded in January of 2001. It was a really hard time for a lot of people back then. Checks were bouncing. Shows were getting canceled. Paul, and I love Paul Heyman. I think that he is an amazing speaker and a very dangerous mind. He claims on an ECW thing they did for the WWE Network that Disney almost bought ECW. I don't know if I believe that, but again, I think it just depends on who you ask. So Paul Heyman took this little promotion in Philly in a 1,000-person capacity arena to a nationwide promotion, to where he was selling out arenas of 10,000, 15,000 people So the demand was there. So why did it close? Well, I think it closed for a lot of reasons, but I will name the ones that I think are most important, and that being number one, ECW really did appeal to a very small audience. Now, I will always say ECW is my favorite promotion because of how many risks that they took, and it may not have been the best storyline promotion, but at the end of the day, they fought with passion every single day, and I cannot ignore that. Um, so yeah, the checks were bouncing, uh, shows getting canceled, but I think that the main one is that they just would not appeal to a major audience. Every single night was hardcore for them. They didn't have a break, and eventually you get burned out. A lot of people say, well, Paul Heyman, his financial status, and I'm sure that that's true to an extent. Obviously, the main stories were guys like RVD and Jerry Lynn were owed probably the most amount of money, and Paul never paid it back. And what's funny was that I went to WrestleCon in April for WrestleMania. You can check out the WrestleMania vlog that we did as well. And I met Rob Van Dam, and just jokingly I said, "So does Paul owe you any money?" And he just laughed. He's like, "Nah." He said, "I think we're good now." I don't think. Yeah, I probably shouldn't have said anything, but I don't think RVD really wanted to even discuss it. But yeah, I mean, it's hard to support a promotion, let alone the wrestlers and even all these outside deals when you don't have the money. And Paul will be the first to tell you that. Yeah, he wasn't the best businessman, and he should have hired a general manager, somebody like a friend, somebody who has some kind of background in business. And I think that was his mistake because you can't sleep for an hour a night and expect everything to go well. It just doesn't happen. A lot of people were saying that towards the end, Paul Heyman just checked out. He wasn't there a lot of times. Tommy Dreamer was handling a lot of the stuff towards the end, and maybe he was. I can't say he was for sure or not, but I think that it's not exactly hard to believe. For anyone who knows Paul Heyman, the guy's a lunatic. He is a madman, and what he does in that ring every single week on Raw. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul Heyman, and I am the advocate for the reigning, defending, undisputed Universal Champion of the world. When he does that, he does it because he knows how to engage in an audience. And that started with ECW. That started with back in the day. So ECW had that engagement, but what they didn't have were the right people towards the end of its run. You had guys like the Dudleys, you had Taz, and you had RVD as well. You had the namesake, you had homegrown talent that was just really good. Problem is that when you don't pay them financially, yeah, they're going to want to go elsewhere. I don't blame Taz. I don't like his WWE run, but maybe we'll get into that in another video. I don't blame the Dudley boys. Obviously, Dudleys, they went on to bigger and better things. But I think at the end of the day, the main reason why ECW failed, of all the reasons I listed, this was number one. The reason why they failed was Paul Heyman. And it kills me to say that. I hate saying that because Paul Heyman's my favorite wrestling mind. No questions asked. It's the truth. You can't not pay people and get away with it. You can't not hire someone to do business the right way. All these different things. And Paul Heyman, you mean to tell me that you can find one person to help you? You had producers from ECW when they were back on TNN. You had Ron Buffone helping you. But I think at the same time, that's not enough. And I think he knew it, too. Like, I kind of feel like he had to have known it. Maybe he didn't, though. Maybe he thought, oh, well, we're doing fine. Checks are bouncing? Nah, we'll get him next time. Maybe that was his mindset. I don't know. I wasn't Paul Heyman, when he was trying to figure things out. And I'm sure it wasn't easy for him. Well, that'll wrap up this edition of PWP TV, and we'll wrap up Why Companies Failed month. Next month, we are going to be looking at feuds that are too sweet. Some of my favorite personal feuds, and they're going to be past, present, and you guys, I'm really excited for this month, actually. We're going to dissect all the feuds. We're going to give, some brief background history on them, all different kinds of things. I know you guys are going to love it, but if you want to listen to the main show, Pro Wrestling Podcast, you can do that on all different platforms, on iTunes, Podcast App, Spreaker, Amazon, Alexa, YouTube, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. You want to hit the show? The Twitter page is at ProW Podcast. Once again, at ProW Podcast. The Gmail is Pro Wrestling Pod. I had to think about that. Pro Wrestling Pod at gmail.com. Once again, Pro Wrestling Pod at gmail.com. My name is Nick, and I'll see you guys next time. If my thing wants to stop.